Yo, crypto nation and mining family. Crypto nation and mining family. What's going on? Of course, like always, it's not financial advice. Yo, crypto nation and mining family, what's going on? So, everybody has seen that I have been mining some of that Monero for some testing, and have been testing it very successfully on the Pi here. Took me a little while to figure out how to load it up on this little bad boy, but I mean, you're not gonna sit there and get a huge hash rate out of something so tiny, so tiny. But I will be doing a tutorial, so this first part of it will be basically setting up the Pi with Debian Lite, getting SSH enabled on here so you can remote into this, and getting the 64-bit kernel on here with Chroot. And I will definitely get into what all of this is right now. So, of course, all the links will be down below, of course. And you know what else will be? One of the links will be down below? HotRodMining.com, guys. Come check it out. Get some awesome hats, shirts, some shorts, and, yo, even some PC equipment, guys. Yo, check it all out. Bam. Got some awesomeness here, guys. And it kind of just helps support the channel so that I can keep providing some of this awesome content to all of you guys. But without any further ado, let's dig in. Boom. So, of course, all these links will be all down below, guys. Everything you will need will be in the links below. I will even put in the commands down there too. Yo. Make things a little easier so you guys can follow step by step as I go through this. So, this is raspberrypi.org. Open source for the win. So this is you can either grab Noobs OS, or what I'm doing is going into the Raspbian, and we come into here and you have the desktop versions up here and the Raspbian Buster Lite. The difference between these two is going to be basically a desktop interface and just straight command line. So the top two will give you, for the most part, a GUI so that you can, it kind of helps newer people to orient themselves, especially if you're coming from Windows into Linux side. It makes it a little easier for the transition. At the same time, if you don't put all that desktop stuff, that desktop bloatware onto your Raspberry Pi, you can run everything in command line. I would recommend everybody to download the Raspbian Buster Lite. This way, it's all done in command line. You'll be able to follow me step by step. Depending on which you have, I have, let me go like this. So this is a SD card reader, and I also had another one already built. So I'm going to be taking, and now the SD card, the Pi does, my Pi, I got the Cana kit, came with everything I needed, including an SD card. So I prefer my SD card reader. It seems to read a little bit better. I did try it with this. It does work. Every once in a while it glitches. So if you're using this, just know that every once in a while it'll glitch and you'll kind of have to unplug it, unseat everything, plug it back in, you know, follow it along. But I was able to get this to work. It's just a little finicky in how you put this all in there. All right. So without any further ado, so you would come up over here, download the zip file. Don't do the torrent, just do the zip file, especially if you're on Windows like myself. Makes life easy. I've already gone ahead and done so. So we can actually go right on to the next step, guys. So I can close this out, get it out of my way. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put my USB with the SD card in there, right into my PC. Beep, beep, link. And it will ask you to reformat it. Windows can reformat it. I don't recommend using it though, okay? What I do recommend using on this, guys, will be, let's see here, the SD card reader. This is an SD card formatter, so I will leave links for everything down below, of course, so you'll be able to follow me step by step. So the first thing I do is I grab this. I know that the SD card is actually labeled H, so we will go ahead and do a quick format on here. Now, I did actually have Raspbian built on this, but this is actually an older version. I know, it's only been built for 2 days and it's an older version, so not the OS aspect of it. It is mostly on the XMR rig side. I can just update it, but since I have a secondary card, I can sit here and show you how to do this. So we will go ahead and format this. And it's going to be, yes, go ahead and do that. Thank you, sir. All right, it was successful. No way. So now that is done. You can close that out. And the next thing I utilize is Balena Etcher. This is for putting OSs on SD cards. So once you have this downloaded, it's going to pop this up. You go ahead and select the image. You find the file where you put the Raspbian Buster Lite zip file in. You don't have to unzip it, guys. You can just put it in here like this. Bam. Now we can go ahead and select this and go ahead and flash. This part does take a little bit of time. Excellent. All right, now that everything is completed with my SD card, so now I can pop this bad boy into the Pi. So basically, once you've constructed it, that's when you can sit there and put it all into here. So I'll go ahead and take that out and go ahead and slide that bad boy right into there. Bam, just like that. Now, from this point, you'll have to have a monitor just for one moment. You'll need a monitor and a keyboard, power supply, and the SD. Let's see here. I got my internet. I'll need a way to get video. So here we go. Get my video over here. Come on. Bam. And then from here, you can go ahead and power it up for the very first time. All right, now I can pull this up. Enter full screen, I said. Hold on here. Alright, sidebar. Ah, there we go. Alright. So, now we got the Pi booting up here. So I've got an Elgato video capture card. So I've got the Pi going right into the video capture, which is right into my PC. This way I can sit there and show everything that I'm doing from this side. Instead of like before where I'd had another camera on here, it doesn't work so well. So the default password and default user and password, very easy, guys, if it's the first time you're doing any of this stuff. So no, that won't work. Will be Pi and then Raspberry. And you're in, just like that. So from here, guys, you're probably going, okay, what do we do now, right? Because you got no GUI, no nothing like that. You are in pure command line. This is how your Pi is going to look from here on out. So what we're going to do is we need to enable two things. One, we need to make sure that I can find it on the network easy. So I'm going to name this. I'm going to change the name on the Pi. And then I'm also going to enable SSH, which allows you to remote into it. So without any further ado, let's dig in. Bam. So the first thing you want to do is you sudo, which basically gives you admin access. You're basically telling it what to do, and you're telling it that you're the owner. And then Pi, what is it? Dash config. Bam! Now it pulls up this. So from here, I go to network options, host name. It's the first option. You just hit enter. And now it's saying, hey, make a note, A through Z, case sensitive, the digits 0 through 9s, and the hyphens, stuff like that. So I'm gonna erase that. So I'm gonna make it test Pi. Yo, check that out. Now that's done. So we also want to go to what is it? The interface options. So you go into interface options, you see SSH, you go over to here. You go, yes, I would love to enable it. Now I'm only using the arrow keys and enter button so far on this. Yes, SSH is now enabled. So I can come right through here. Finish. Would you like to reboot now? Yes. Now it's going to reboot, and I no longer need this or my keyboard. So now we are officially running headless. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, close you down. All right. So the next thing we can do is we are going to have to basically find this thing on the network. So from here, guys, you're going to go access your router. You're going to find the Pi, whatever you named it, on your network. Each network is a little different on how you're going to access it, access your router so that you can find all the devices and the device names. Make a recording of the device name address. You already know the device name, so whenever you're in your router, you're just looking for the address. It'll be 192.168.1. Whatever the last 3 digits are, is the Pi's address for the local network, not the public network, okay? So you can't take these numbers and access it from, Spain. There's another set of numbers you would need to utilize with that, which would be more of a public address, and then you would need to know the password that that's going to be used for the Pi. That's another reason why you want to rename them. You want to put a different password, not using the default name. Do not use the default password. It just keeps everything safe, just in case somebody ever brute forces you. You're not, safety first, right? So let's get back into here. So from here, guys, I hit the Windows button, and R. It brings up this run command, right? So I'm actually going to pull up a command window. Boom! Just like that. So we're going to go ahead and full screen this now. From here, this is where we're working. You're on your main PC, completely remote accessing into this. So you go SSH, which is the command for it, space, pi, shift, at, and then, like I said, the 192.168.1 dot, and I know what mine is 176 on the local. Oop. This also means it's because I'm reconfiguring this. If this ever happens, not a problem, guys, not a problem. Let me get into my PC here. I'm not showing this part off because this is going into the deep depths of my computer. So I'm actually, what I'm doing is I'm deleting the host, the first SSH command that I put in there. So I'm going to rerun it now. And it's from here, it's like if you were just doing this for the first time, this is what it would pull up. Type out yes, the entire word, not Y, but yes. Hit enter. Now it's going to ask you for your password. Now this is still the default password. So Raspberry, bam, you're in. So now, like I was saying before, you want to change the password. This is where you do it now. So sudo pi-config. So we're going into the admin level, the Raspberry Pi, into the configuration profile. Bam, right back here, right? Since it's easier to actually do all of this on your computer, you know, you only need to go into it with a monitor separate one time. Let's see here. Well, first off, we're going to go ahead and change that password. I'm going to use a really super generic password. It's going to make you re-enter it. Passwords accepted. Boom. And if you notice, it doesn't give you any characters or anything like that. So let's say you're like, man, I messed up my password. You can Control U, and it deletes all the stuff off, and you can start again. So, or you can just hit backspace until you think you've deleted everything you typed in. Whichever way is convenient for you. So we've already done the network options. So the next thing that we're going to have to do is an interfacing option. Oops. Not here. I'm sorry. We've already done the interface. Localization options. That's what I was looking for. So change local. So it's going to come up into here. Now this is going to be the language in the country in the time zone you are currently in. I'm in the United States. What's default is English, Great Britain. Now, you can't just erase it. You're going to see this little asterisk right where it says English, Great Britain, right? To get rid of that, you have to hit the space bar. And if you want to put it back, hit the space bar again. But I'm going to take that off because I'm not in Great Britain. What it's doing is it's basically profiling your keyboard so that your keyboard types in the same fashion that you do from your region. Now, Great Britain, it probably worked just fine for me, but I'm going to take English, stay in English, the EN, and I'm going to do English US, UTF -8 is the time zone and everything for the US. I'm not sure what it all breaks down to. I just know this is what I use. So go ahead and do that and hit enter. And it's going to pull up the configurations. So you're going to select your English US. That's what we're wanting. And takes it a few seconds to recalibrate everything. Boom. All right, so bam. We're not done here yet. So we're gonna come. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oop, I hit the wrong button. So I'm not on this. There we go. And we're going to go to advanced options. And we're going to expand the file system on the SD card so that it's available to the OS. And then whenever I go to reboot this thing, it'll be awesome. And the next thing we want to do, since we're right here, update. And it'll take a few moments for it to do its full update on here. And this isn't going to be the only time we're doing updates, guys, so be prepared. And we want a big old Y. And this time you don't have to press type out yes. You can just press Y and enter, and you're good to go. It's only that first time when you're logging into your Pi through SSH, that very, very first time, it wants you to type out yes. Everything else, just Y. All right, boom. We are configured. We are done with this. All right, so now we're going to start updating the Pi itself. So we're going to sudo apt update. And it's going to pull, now nothing's updating, it's just basically pulling the update out. So now the update's there in a temporary file on the Pi. From here, we're going to sudo apt full upgrade. Because we wanted to do everything. And yes. As it sits there and does all of its cool stuff here. And the Pi will tell you when it errors out what's going on. And whenever it errors out, you can kind of look in there, figure out what you did wrong or what you're missing. It will tell you if it's missing a kernel or if it's missing a library for pulling its information. So just kind of pay attention to whenever it does error out. From here, whenever it pulls this up, it's trying to see if you want to turn something. I forget what it was that it was trying to turn on. What is it? RPC bind may prompt to change. Prompt for a change. Just use Q as the default, and it'll just keep on doing its update. And then when it's done doing the update, guess what? We're going to reboot. Because anytime that you do any kind of major updates or putting on major programs, in order for the program to take a hold, you got to reboot. So everything here, we're building the OS, we're updating the OS, and then after that, we're going to put the 64-bit kernel in here once it's done doing all of this awesome stuff. And yeah, you're seeing it just. Usually, when you're doing some of these are a little on the longer side. And don't worry if it slows down. It's still doing stuff, so don't worry. Almost. Almost. Come on. Come on, dude. One thing I like about using command line is it makes you kind of feel like either a coder or a hacker. One of the two. Alright. Hit blink twice. Press up and enter. And give it a second to fully boot up. I'll prompt the password. Alright, so now we are back in. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to build the 64-bit kernel for this. So, we need to get the boot configuration with the ARM 64-bit. So we have echo ARM 64-bit equals 1. This is part of the argument plus making a text file for it. So we're actually making a file right now. Boom. So now the file's there. And you can see the confirmation. It says ARM underscore 64-bit equals 1. Yo. So the next thing is we're gonna do a Rpi update for that because we need to update it for the 64-bit kernel. So now we're actually reflashing the firmware onto the Pi. So we are definitely making a big change. It wants you to confirm with a Y. All you have to do is press Y and it'll just keep going. As it does its thing. And when it does this, again, guess what? Gotta reboot. This one takes a little bit of time to run it, just because it's updating the firmware, the modules, the dependencies. It's making some modifications and stuff like that. All that good stuff. Syncing changes. Alright, so sudo reboot again. Bam. Alright. I got one blinked light. Need to do it one more time. There we go. Blinked off a second time. Alright, so now we're just waiting for it to re-establish connection. There we go. Bam. So now we're back into it. And if you notice now, it is version 8 instead of version 7. Version 7 is Pi 3 software. Version 8 is Pi 4. And we got the Arch 64-bit OS in here. So, baller. The next thing we need to do is basically make a cheroot so that we make like a playground for the ARM 64 to actually be utilized. So the first thing we're going to do is sudo apt install. So we're doing some installations now. So bam. So sudo apt install. -y. The -y means if there's anything that asks a question, you're automatically saying yes to everything. So sudo means you're in the, the admin, and then you're saying yes to everything. So you're installing debootstraps for a cheroot. Press enter. All right, bam, just like that. The next thing is we're going to start doing some of the building. All right, so I've got cat greater than signs EOF. So if I put down a cat code, any input I put in, cat will output the same thing back to me. So if I put hi, hello, and I've got cat in there, and that's all I have, it'll redo everything I put in command for command until it sees EOF, which basically tells it to end. So, and now the sudo t, we're putting it into the chroot for the Pi64. So we're going to be making, like I said, the file for making the 64-bit OS on here. So we're going to go ahead and, you notice now it's just got a little arrow. So I've got some things over here, and now all the stuff I will leave in the links down below. So I'll copy this and right click and bam. So I put Pi64, the description, so all these things until it sees EOF. Boom. And it ends it with the Pi64. The next thing we're going to do, now this one is a long one. Let's see here, copy. So we are basically going to be completing the operating bit for this, and no hup is what you're going to be looking for as a response. So now you see that no hup.out, just press enter one time. Boom. Now you got this. You basically pushed that into the background. Let's see here. And then if you notice this little numbering here, if you lose connection at any point in time, just record this number down here, and you'll be able to find it back in the Pi and then restart the process. But from here, we're going to look at the tail. Copy. Oop, I forgot the key. So tail-f, no hup.out. Press enter. And basically what you're doing is you're able to actually see what it's doing in the background. And you're going to be looking for when it says base system installed successfully. Now, like I said, this aspect takes just a little bit of time because it's building everything with inside of for the 64-bit. It's kind of like watching paint dry sometimes. All right. And if you guys have any questions during this process, please feel free to either drop comments in down below, or I have links into the Discord. You can hop into the Discord and actually ask me or a few of us Pi guys in there how I did this, if you got any kind of questions. So I hope I'm being as thorough as possible with all of this, and you guys won't have any questions. That's how I know I did my job. So, unpacking the base system. So this is the part that takes the longest. Because XMRig needs a 64-bit OS system in order to run. So basically we're making a file for all of that. So, all right, bam. Come on, come on. Almost. Now you're starting to see everything is saying ARM 64, ARM 64, because that's what we're building. Base system installed successfully. That's what I was waiting for. From here, you hit Control C, and it ends the process from the back, being pushed back. Now you're back where you need to be. So now we need to pull in the stuff from Git, copy. So sudo chroot pi64. So we're actually going to be compiling it now. So from here, it's gonna be a 64-bit Pi soon. So close, so close. Come on. Alright, bam. Alright, so now that's done, we need to get into the chroot now, right? Copy that. So chroot C Pi 64. So we're going into the 64-bit Pi. Now, notice that it says Pi at test Pi. Watch what happens next. Boom. Pi 64 Pi at test Pi. So now we're in the Pi 64 file. So everything we're doing now is now purely in a 64-bit OS system. I hope that you guys found the beginning of this. So basically from here, the next video will be me compiling the miner itself. I hope that you all found this informative. If you guys got any questions whatsoever, please feel free to drop comments in down below. And while you're down there, certainly smash that lizardy like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you haven't, or if you have, make sure it's on. And please share this with one other person. If you guys know anybody that has a Pi 4 and they would like to know how to configure everything and run it all in command line, guys, send them my way, guys, please. That always helps me grow my channel, and I will definitely see your smiling faces on the next one. Yo.